Hello, it's Noah here. It definitely has been some time since I posted anything related to my thoughts on an event, or in fact any voice video about it. The last time I did this was almost a year ago, when I expressed how I felt about Anime Festival Asia 2024. That is very similar to what I'm going to be talking about today, because it is technically just the same thing, but a different year. I'm going to be talking about an anime convention that everyone surely knows. Anime Festival Asia. I have written and talked about my experiences of attending this same event for the past 2 years, and this year will be no different. I just thought of sharing how I felt about AFA again, because why not? It has sort of become a tradition every year to do this, and I'll probably do it for every AFA in the near future, until somehow I feel that it might not worth be talking about anymore. For those who have not read or seen my past 2 experiences before, or also has not heard of the event before, which at this point who hasn't, I'm going to give you a very brief introduction. Anime Festival Asia, also known as AFA, is an anime convention held in Southeast Asia countries, with its main and core one held in Singapore annually ever since 2008. It has been ongoing for 17 years, which is honestly astounding at this point, because there are still a lot of anime fans as time change, which is a good thing. Recently, AFA has started to venture into other countries too. I mean, of course, they have done this in other countries in the previous years, such as Indonesia, Thailand, Hong Kong, and Japan. However, it has been pretty inconsistent, like it happens maybe every once few years. Nonetheless, since 2024, it has started to go back to Indonesia, and next year, in 2026, they have also planned for Hong Kong and Thailand too. They somehow haven't announced another Singapore one like they did last year, but AFA should still be around next year, I hope. AFA is known to have several musicians and seiyus come over each year as guests, as well as renowned cosplayers having stalls all around the exhibition. Attendees are also allowed to come in their normal clothes or their cosplays. And that's it for the brief history lesson. With that, let's get to talking about my experience in this year's AFA. For the pre-event, I have bought tickets for all 3 days. Now, the first question that comes to your mind is, Noah, why do you buy 3 days of tickets again? As usual, I will explain my reasons. Firstly, I do want to attend at least one day of the convention. Friday was the most convenient as my friends from university were able to attend it with me. Secondly, I want to see my favorite cosplayer. I've talked about her in the last AFA video, but I'll just reintroduce her again. Ellie Cosplay is my favorite cosplayer of all time, and probably no one else would come close to her. I have been supporting her since my very first AFA event in 2022. I've discovered her way earlier, but I didn't attend previous AFA conventions, and I possibly couldn't fly to other countries where she held her booths in conventions overseas. Let me be real honest here. She is a major reason why I'm going all 3 days of AFA. I just want to support her as a fan and buy her merchandise. Because she was coming for all 3 days, that's why I bought all 3 days of tickets. Wait, Noah, don't you usually go all 3 days, especially on Friday, to buy anime merch so it doesn't sell out? Oh boy, I got news for you. What anime merch am I looking out for specifically in this year's AFA? Nothing. When the announcement for the stores coming to AFA was posted by the official account, I was combing through what could potentially interest me, and none of them come to mind. Number 1, there was no Bushiroad Expo. Granted, Bushiroad Expo came over to Singapore during TableCon Quest in August, and that event was kind of interesting for me, but as usual, I lost my chances on the Seiyu tickets. No Bushiroad Expo in AFA means I won't need to be queuing up to buy Bang Dream or Seiyu merch, and that is kinda the major part of my spending in AFA besides Ellie's merch. Secondly, there isn't anything that interests me. Sure, all of these stores like AnyPlus, Muse Asia, and Latendo are selling anime related stuff, which I could potentially be interested in. But they are more or less selling the stuff from the shows that came out recently, which I don't have a particular interest for. So there goes my interest for these stores. I guess the good thing to come out of this is that I can spend lesser money on merch buying. But Noah, you said you bought all 3 days of tickets. isn't that really expensive? Let me show you the prices of the tickets for this year. Here's the third reason. The prices of the tickets are cheaper than last year, which pleasantly surprised me because I was expecting to pay $30 per exhibition ticket. I thought it was the norm going forward, so I was glad to see that I was paying lesser. You might think that I might have bought 2 days of exhibition and 1 day of day stage, since that was what I have done in the past 2 years. That is not the case for this AFA. I bought 3 days of exhibition this year, so I only had to pay $62 for it. The guests for this year's day stage weren't enough to move me to buy a ticket for it. I mean, Akari Kito was coming over for day 2, and not gonna lie, I was a bit tempted to buy the Saturday day stage for her, but I decided against it at the last minute. She is a seiyuu I do follow, but not really a priority for me. Also, I just want to mention that I have indeed thought about buying concert for day 2 because Fana will be performing. I'm not a very huge fan of Fana, but I do love their music and I kinda wanted to try out the concert for once. But I didn't buy it in the end because I needed to save money for my Japan trip that is coming quite soon. Additionally, a few days before AFA started, they offered a viewing of the new Miss Kobayashi Dragon Maid movie, the one that came out in Japan recently in June. I wanted to watch it because I know the anime series and I do love it, so I bought the 4 PM ticket on day 1. The entry flow is the same as last year's, and it is still really smooth, so that was a relief. I really love this queue system and I do have to thank the AFA committee for this wonderful idea. That is all for the pre-event, and now onto the main course, the 3 days of AFA. I woke up at 7 AM this time and got ready by 7:35 AM. I reached Esplanade MRT around 8:22 AM and waited for one of my friends to arrive before we joined the queue at 8:40 AM. There was, of course, a lot of people in the line before us. However, because of the new entry flow, the queue moved relatively fast, which I am grateful for. Around 9:30 AM, we have gotten up to the 3rd floor to collect our wristbands. The collection area is very similar to last year, with some minor changes. After that, we went straight to the back check line, and I have to say that it was pretty fast. I remember getting up to the hall around 10 AM, and I was trying to find Ellie's booth for a good 5 minutes. The layout of the convention has changed a bit because usually all the cosplayer booths will be clumped together at one side, and usually it is at the right side of the hall. Turns out this year was a bit different. There are still cosplayer booths at the right of the hall, but none of them were Ellie's. Where was the store, you ask? At the very left. I had to do a U-turn and quickly rush there. And guess what? Surprise, surprise, there was already a queue formed. Although it wasn't as bad as I have anticipated. I joined in and waited for 1.5 hours while my friend went to the entrance of the hall to wait for 2 more of our friends to come. I've bought like 6 photos, 2 checkies or Polaroids, and a photo card. I kinda don't know what to call it, but yeah, it'll be shown on the screen later anyways. But yeah, that's what I bought from Ellie. And I wanted to get her Polaroid album too, but it was out of stock because there was no stock to begin with according to their staff, which was kind of a bummer, but oh well. Once I was done with that, I went to meet my friends and we took our lunch at Sukiya in Suntec City before going back to the convention center and walking around the exhibition. I don't know if it is just me or if anyone else feels the same way, but the convention kind of feels empty. Yeah, I don't think there was a single store that caught my attention on first glance. Not even the Musume booth was interesting. In fact, it's only like 2 staff standing there handing out fans and stickers, not a single sight of merch. Maybe because none of the stores were having or selling stuff that were of my interest. That was why I kinda felt like there was nothing to look at. To be fair though, it is only the first day, and I'm spending most of my time with my friends instead of looking closely at each store. That was what I chalked it up to. Anyways, I was just walking around when I saw this store that said I could get a signature and a picture just by buying this Seiyu's photo book. I was like, wow, that's kinda interesting. Because you don't usually get autographs from Seiyus unless AFA had like special sessions for it. Like the Sumipei one that I had in 2023, as well as the Hinapio and the Rinchao one in 2024. So this one seemed out of the blue. Still, temptation got me, and I bought the photo book. I met this Seiyu called Yuri Kosakai, who acted in a few anime that I've heard of but never watched before, like My Hero Academia, Eden Zero, Horimiya, and Science Fell in Love, so I tried to prove it. Long anime name, I know. She even had a cameo role in the first season of Quintessential Quintuplets and is a ring announcer for the World Wonder Ring Stardom. Yes, the wrestling promotion that Aina Aiba used to be a wrestler in. I talked to her a bit and she signed my name on the book. That's pretty cool. And we even took a picture together. I guess I'll be watching her works in my free time from now on. Then, me and my friends went for the Miss Kobayashi Dragon Maid movie, which is called the Miss Kobayashi Dragon Maid A Lonely Dragon Wants to Be Loved, at 4 PM, right? And if I'm not wrong, this movie was taken out from the manga, I think around the chapter 70 to 80 plus, but I cannot remember clearly, but it was from the manga, that's what I remembered. Anyways, I love the movie a lot. It does try to be serious with its topics, as well as its emotional scenes, and it is comedic at times, which is pretty good. But I felt that this film is really amazing. It is worth my $30 at the very least. And if it ever comes out on streaming platforms, I would definitely give it another watch. And I suggest for those Kobayashi Dragon Maid fans, you should at least see this movie once, because I think this is really good. Because although the events can be seen from a manga, it's nicer to see it animated and voiced, whether sub or dub. So yeah, you know. At last, we had dinner after the movie, and then we went our separate ways. That marked the end of the first day. Overall, the day didn't go too bad because my friends were there. The stores were kinda meh, but I was going to explore the place in full detail on day 2, since there will be no one joining me. These are the things I've bought or gotten throughout the day. I woke up later than any of the days I have went for AFA in the past 3 years. 9:30 AM. I got ready by 10:30 AM and I moved out to Esplanade MRT. It was almost 11 AM when I got to the station's exit, and usually, even on a weekend at the AFA, the queue wouldn't be too bad because of the new entry flow. Holy shit! Quite the queue on the first floor. It started from halfway of the Uniqlo front, and I was like, damn, there is way too many people. Still, it moved relatively fast, so not much complaints. The wristband queue wasn't that long either, and I thought, hey, maybe the day wouldn't be that bad after all. After collecting my wristband, the queue really started to form. The guards were slowly letting people go to the bag check area so that overcrowding doesn't happen, which is a good thing that they are doing so. Once the bag check queue was full, they did stop the rest of the wristband queue from moving on to the next section. Not only was the bag check queue full, the wristband queue was starting to pile up more and more because they weren't able to go to the bag check area. As a result, there were lots of people in the wristband queue. I'm going to show you how it looks like. Just imagine this is level 3 of Suntec Convention Center. The dark red line at the bottom left represents the wristband collection area. The black line beside it represents the snake-like queue after the wristband collection towards the bag check. It is also the wristband queue that I was referring to earlier. The green line is the bag check queue. The lighter red line represents the bag check area. The guards are situated between the end of the black line and the start of the green line. And finally, the blue X is where I was in the queue after I first collected my wristband. To say that there were lots of people is an understatement. It was like as if I went into a wet market. I know you're gonna probably ask me, Noah, this is an anime convention and it's on a weekend. Why are you surprised that it was that busy? Well, let's take a look at last year's day 2. It was also about this long of a queue, but at that time, Hololive was going to have a concert, so I would understand why day 2 of 2024 would have lots of people. However, I don't think there will be lots of people who care for the day 2 concert this year. Except me, because I kinda care. I wanted to go for fun, but I couldn't. And I don't remember the day stage having that much of a hype, unless it could be the Apothecary Diaries. Sorry if I'm butchering that name. The Diaries Day stage featuring Iori Yuki and Asami Seto, or Akari Kito with a Chibi Godzilla, or Frieren. Okay, yeah, I kinda take my words back. I kinda understood why it might be busy, but still, I thought only Hololive could make that place really full. After some time, I managed to get into the halls, and on my way to the cosplayer area, I saw this male trainer cosplay holding up a board. Male trainer of, Team Speaker from Musume. The guy was going around asking people to vote on which Uma will win the AFA 2025 derby. I have to give him props for that. It was pretty creative. Also, if you want to know where I put my sticker, it was on Silent Suzuka. I then went to Ellie's booth and joined the queue. Took me about 1 hour and 40 minutes to get to her, which was quite long honestly, but it's kind of normal and expected at this point of time. I just kinda got used to it. I bought some merch of hers, as well as took pictures with her. I then met up with a friend to eat lunch. Outside. Yeah, not inside, outside of the AFA place at Suntec City once again. Afterwards, we went to this Uma Musume cosplayer gathering nearby, where I tried to pull for the Halloween rice shower in the game, and 40 pulls, and the notable Umas that I've got were Wedding Mayano Top Gun and Halloween Super Quick. No new Umas though, as usual. Around 3:30 PM, I returned back up to the hall. Since I had time, I used this opportunity to explore around the area. I took a closer look at each of the stores, and truth be told, I wasn't that impressed. Sure, there are like Anyplus Cafe, Muse Asia, and some figurine stores, and exhibition booths like Toho Animation, the Makato Shinkai one, as well as the Japan Tourism ones. But none of them really made me stay there for more than 30 seconds. Like I said earlier, it's not because the stores were shit. It's more because that they were not selling what I wanted to buy, and thus I was able to save money. At around 5 PM, after finishing Ellie's favorite activity called rock, paper, scissors and not winning the shikishi she drew inside once again, as well as getting out in the very first round, which is very normal for me every year, another friend of mine arrived at AFA, and we decided to go around, taking selfies with random cosplayers as we walked around. It was pretty fun. I even bought things from a new cosplayer named Sushi Cosplayer. After me and my friend parted ways, I went back to Ellie's booth to buy another checky yet again, and took a few more pictures with her. Thankfully, I was the last customer of the day before they closed shop, so I guess I was lucky. This marked the end of the second day, and let me tell you, to me, AFA was looking pretty grim. It had nothing very interesting to me, and the only times I was sort of entertained or had fun were when I was with my friends. Additionally, during the whole time I was in AFA, in day 2, I felt like I was being squeezed everywhere I go. The place was so packed, I had to stop at a corner to catch my breath. Man, that did not felt good. Also, here are the stuff that I've bought. Not much honestly, because most of it came from Ellie. For day 3, I woke up a bit earlier, around 8 AM, because I was tasked to buy something for my friend, and I didn't want to wait a long time to queue at the store. I reached the level 1 queue at 9:22 AM, which surprised me because it was almost empty. I was not expecting it to be empty at this timing. I got into the halls at 10 AM sharp, and I went straight to see Ellie, but saw that her queue was pretty long, but shockingly not as long as day 1 or day 2. I decided to queue up for her later anyways. To pass some time, I proceeded to the Hatsune Miku Colorful Stage booth. For the past 2 days, I couldn't try out this booth as there were too many people queuing up for it. However, for day 3, I was only faced with one person playing the iPad. I was not expecting that, but I'll take it. I tried out their challenge, which is to FC Nepu on any difficulty. I did it after the second time on Expert. Forgive me though, I couldn't do it the first time. I'm not an index finger player, I'm a thumbs player. Anyway, the price is 300 crystals, which I'll gladly accept it since it was free. There's also a board to show off your in-game nickname or your name should you full combo a song and show it to the person in charge. He gave me a sticker to paste on the big board and I wrote my name there. Very interesting, considering I placed it on the last day and no one would really see it since it will be taken down when AFA ends, but oh well, at least my name was up on there and I took a picture of it too. I went to this store named Cool, which was ran by Cow Notes? Sorry if I'm butchering this name again, but I'll show it on the screen. It looked like a cafe selling food, and that was what I had thought initially, but it looked very nice from the outside, and on the inside too. The people there will bring you to a seat, pass you the menu, which is just the products that they are selling, and tell you to order when you are ready. I thought it was a very creative process and I really loved it. I was there to buy stickers for my friend, as I mentioned earlier that I needed to do or buy something for my friend. This was what I wanted to buy for them. And I also wanted to see, maybe there might be some things that I wanted to buy, right? So, who knows? I copped a nice nature acrylic because I'm a very big nature fan, and a Tazuna shaker acrylic, which I'll show on the screen. And I've seen this a lot in social media. You know, people using this to determine what they're gonna train for their own Umas in the game. And I thought that was actually very like creative, very unique. And I thought it was very fun, so I wanted to try it myself. So I guess expect a video of that in the near future. After that, I went to queue for Ellie. It was a relatively short queue as I was able to get to her in about 50 minutes, which was very surprising as I didn't think her queue would be this fast. And this is like the fastest time I've got to her, by the way, throughout like my whole AFA experience everywhere. And the most surprising thing is there was just a few people queuing up in the queue, which are not very, not very usual, because I always see Ellie cosplay has like a lot of people queuing up for her like at any given time. So this was a shocker. I bought more of her stuff as usual, including the Polaroid album that was supposedly out of stock on the first day, and it appeared on the last day, which was a pleasant good thing. So I bought that, and I also took pictures with her. It's a Modori. And after I queued up for her, I went to eat lunch in AFA this time. Wow! Yes, finally the one and only day this year that I get to eat in the AFA place. And what food with my mouth water over other than braised pork rice? I think that it is the same brand as the one I ate 2 years ago, but I'm not too sure myself. Still, it tasted really good, along with the drink that I got, which was the lychee white peach soda. The chili the food store provided was the bombs. It hit all the right spots in my mouth. It was pretty spicy, yet it blended really well with the taste of the pork meat and it left a very satisfying aftertaste. I walked around the exhibition for a bit more and saw that this artist named Nolu was performing on the next stage. I didn't know she had an appearance here. After her performance, I went back to strolling and saw that she had a free meet and greet happening nearby. I went to queue for it and I had the opportunity to speak to her. By speaking, I mean me screaming how to spell my name while fighting against the loud noise from the stage, and she was trying her hardest to hear how to write my name. I didn't really speak to her as I kinda didn't know what to speak about, as I literally didn't know her until like 30 minutes ago. She wrote my name wrong. She spelled it as Haky Ryu, so it's called Haki Ryu, but my name was Haku Ryu, right? But I mean, the place was really too loud, so I don't blame her for mishearing it. She knew how to pronounce my name though, and I think that's enough. We took a picture, and I somehow fumbled by not showing the card at the camera. I was trying to, but apparently it wasn't facing the camera. Oh well, at least I have a new artist to hear. Following that, I checked my social media and saw that
another bunch of friends
were also around. They accompanied me during last year's AFA, so I thought of joining them that day. We went out of the convention to take some lunch at some beef restaurant while catching up. Then I followed Hiker to Anyplus Cafe to collect some pre-order stuff, and then we all went back into AFA. I went to Ellie's Rock Paper Scissors event once again, and guess what? Story shocker, I managed to get past the first round for the first time in the 3 years I've been in AFA. Absolute cinema. I wondered if it was finally time for me to win. And then I failed at the second round. Crazy, I know. However, I expected not to win in the first place, so all was good. Then there was the War Scroll auction, which only 3 people took part in. I guess the rest of us were just either broke, like me, or they didn't want to spend a lot on a single thing. The first one went for $550, while the second one went for $650. My jaw dropped when I heard $650, because I never heard someone pay $650 for a War Scroll before, and that's a crazy amount. But I mean, you know, can I really say anything? I bought a Itsuki Nakano signed card for like 700 USD. Afterwards, I joined
another bunch of friends
in collecting stamps for a stamp rally. The one at Toho Animation, if I remember correctly. I cannot really remember the details, but you know, we posed for some pictures and got stamps. All of these were for a big bag and a sticker set. They weren't much, but they were free after all, so why not? Before I left the venue, I went to queue for Ellie one last time. I took a picture and a check-in with her and bid my farewells, hoping to see her again next year in AFA 2026. With that marked the end of the third and final day of AFA. Half of it was just exploration and the other half was with friends. Here are the stuff that I've bought or gotten for the day. There are a few highlights, but not too much. Let's get on with it. Number 1. Cosplayer Meetup. Of course, I'm going to be talking about this. Ellie was here for all 3 days, and I was definitely glad that I was able to meet her and support her. She took more selfies of herself with my phone this year, and I would take that any day of the week. I conversed with her quite a bit too, more than last year actually. I told her last year about my name, which she kinda forgot this year, so I did remind her again, and she said it was super cool. Deja vu, I guess. But hey, at least I got complimented by her once again, so I was cool with that. I have been supporting her for the past 3 years, and I will definitely continue to do so as long as I can. Second, meeting of new artists. I've talked about meeting a new seiyuu and singer, namely Yuri Kozakai and Nolu respectively. I'm definitely open to seeing and hearing new content, so I'll be checking out their stuff in the next few days. I do want to expand my knowledge in the seiyuu and J-pop scenes, and these two fit right into my agenda. Number 3. Company of friends. I think a convention can be fun or boring if one goes by themselves, but having friends to accompany you can be great. For 2023, 2024, and this year's AFA, I had friends accompany me, and I am grateful for their company, especially for this year, because without them, it might not be as fun. They think of stuff and activities that you can't think of while doing alone, which makes it all the more fun. I would like to thank everyone who was with me during 2025 AFA. Man, this year's AFA was hella boring for me compared to any of the years that I've attended. It wasn't just slightly boring anymore. Most of these stores didn't stand out to me at all, and as I've said earlier, it's not that they're horrible, they're just not my interest, which is unfortunate, but different people have different likes. It just so happens that this year did not have any of my favorite stuff except for the cosplay. In fact, the cosplays that I've seen from my favorite cosplayer, or those having booths, or just random attendees are some of the best that I've seen in my years of attending AFA. People are getting better and better in cosplay, and that's good honestly. Entry flow though, amazing. Glad they introduced it last year. I really wanted to enjoy this year's AFA, but it kinda isn't hitting for me. The only store that I liked from this is the Cool Cafe, and the Miss Kobayashi Dragon Maid movie was one of the best things to come out from this AFA. As I've mentioned earlier, I've bought 3-day tickets solely to support Ellie, and the rest can be add-ons to the itinerary. Overall, this year AFA isn't like downright horrible. It is still decent. I'm just a tad disappointed by it, but I still enjoyed myself these past 3 days thanks to my friends, Ellie, the movie, and the new people I've met from this event. There is always something to rave about AFA every year, and I'm relieved to say that this year still has some saving grace for me from the things that I've said above. Here's to hoping that 2026 AFA would happen and be a better exhibition than this year. And as always, thank you to the wonderful people who host Anime Festival Asia every year without fail.